I'm gonna show up before 7 here.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, we will call the meeting to order. It's the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, and it is 7 o'clock on November 15th. Can you please call roll?
Mr. Bricker?
Here.
Mr. Brookover?
Here.
Ms. Cunningham? Here. Mr. Dalton?
Here.
Ms. Lamar?
Here.
Ms. McWhinney? Here. Mr. Politis?
Present.
Mr. Ratliff?
Here.
Councilman Rohr?
Here.
Vice Chairwoman Hibinger? Here. And Chairwoman Lash?
Here. We have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from our October 18th meeting, and always as a reminder, as long as you read them, you can vote on them even if you were not here.
Motion to approve.
Motion, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, can you please call roll?
Mr. Bricker?
Yes.
Mr. Brookover?
Yes.
Ms. Cunningham?
Yes.
Mr. Dalton?
Yes.
Ms. Lamar?
Yes.
Ms. McWhinney? Yes. Mr. Politis?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Councilman Rohr?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Hibinger?
Yes.
Chairwoman Lash?
Yes. Okay, moving on to public comments. Any public comments today? Nope. Okay, then we will move on to the update with the YMCA.
All right. So I'm assuming everyone has the report. Had a chance to read through it. Questions, comments, likes, dislikes? Nothing? Okay. Well, I'll go on to the talking points that I normally have. Just to put on your radar, the Y will celebrate its 5th anniversary. Actually, it'll be before the anniversary party, but be on January 5th. It'll be approximately all day, but we'll have a short ceremony around 6:30. So our CEO will be there. Some key members that have been a part of the branch since we opened will be there to speak, and just have some, I think, around balloons and cupcakes and party things. So please come out and attend that. We'd love to have you there. Secondly, each of you should have received a copy of the rec calendar. That calendar is online right now. So it has all the special events and programs or events that we have for 2017. The sports portion of that calendar will be out hopefully in the next week. So everything that you see on that form is volunteer driven. Okay, so we do need volunteers for that, and that's where we look for help from this board and any other groups and organizations that we can get to help with those programs. I do want to say a special thank you to Linda Matthews at our Halloween event. She got stuck cooking those hot dogs. So I do want to thank her for that. It was very well attended. Trunk or treat was the biggest one we've had yet. I think we had 22 vendors in the park. Live music, of course, and the pumpkin run was held right before that. So that kind of worked together pretty well. We were pleased with that outcome. There are some tweaks that we're going to do with the course itself, I think, next year. But for overall, I think this is the direction that this run will go from now on. It's going to be more of a fun run because we actually had people dressing up and wearing costumes and enjoying themselves. So that's essentially what we would like for that run to be. You also received a flyer for our program night. This is something that we are just recently starting on December 9th. All programs open for registration on the 10th, but we're trying to give people an access to sample programs or classes that they may have questions about, may have had some hesitation about registering for or trying. So we'll have like 10 to 15 minute little glimpses at classes. You can jump in and try it if you want. You can have your kids try a class if you want or a program to see if they would like it before you sign up. It's also going to be some membership stuff going on. So if you're a member and you bring somebody with you and they do sign up, then they can sign up for a program early before everybody else is allowed to as well. So this is a new thing that we're going to start and then actually be going on before each one of our sessions starts. So hopefully we have a good turnout for this. It's also in conjunction with our Pizza with Santa. We're changed from Breakfast with Santa to Pizza with Santa. There's a ton of Breakfast with Santas around. So we thought we'd try something different. So I know Roger has some games and some activities set up that will go along with this. So our whole building that evening will be directed for this event and the Santa Pizza with Santa. So as I said, we hope to see you guys there. And any event that we have, program related, special event related, like I said, we're always needing volunteers, and it's a great opportunity for this board to get out and get their face seen and tagged to them as part of being the park board. Any questions?
Did you say that your plan is to start doing these program nights before every
Session.
session? That's great, because that's the feedback that I still always hear, is just the confusion of when sessions are opening and when to sign up. So this is great.
And we do have, all that information is posted as well. And actually we have little magnets that we give out to people that have all the session dates on it for the year. So it should be accessible.
Okay.
So we're trying to make sure that every avenue is covered. Our social media is flooded with this information, from Facebook to Twitter to our mobile app. All that information can be found there. So that's where we try to push most people. If you want to find something, look us up online.
So you had to move the the daddy-daughter.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
You know, very cool to hear that that's growing and doing that.
Moved it to OWU, bigger venue. Dates off a little bit, but we continue to grow that program. We're actually hoping that we're advertising at Liberty as well, since Matt now oversees Liberty as well as our branch. So we're trying to do more countywide things. So that's one of the other reasons that we looked for a bigger venue. And if it continues to grow, then like I said before, we're probably going to have to go to 2 days and see how that works.
Was the date change due to venue change?
Yes. Anything else? All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We will move on then to discussion of the bike plan. We already covered the discussion of upcoming programs and events for the Y. So we are on to the bike plan. Ted is doing that. Bike plan, you're up, the bike plan.
Yes. Were there any other comments that I talked to Josh and sent some comments in, any other comments from the board that after reviewing it? So some of the items that Josh brought up, I agree with them. It's kind of the prioritization needs a little work, I think, when they updated it to actually give it some. They had too many high priority. It seemed like it went from high priority to low priority. There wasn't anything really in between there, and trying to make sure that there's a hierarchy there that the city could work with.
Making a move. But getting that hierarchy so that we would have a more realistic outlook on tackling some of these projects in the as they have them listed in there. And also the projects they had listed were pretty I think it was, sorry I didn't bring the plan with me, I think it was $14 million over the next 10 years, which I don't know that we're going to be able to budget that kind of money towards the bike, the plan improvements. So that was one of the other comments that Josh brought up that I kind of agreed with, that we need to take a look at. So.
I think the only other thing that I had too that I was disappointed that I didn't see is that there's a designation for cities by, I believe it's the League of American Bicyclists. There's only 3 cities in Central Ohio that are designated bike-friendly communities. That's Dublin, Westerville, and the city of Columbus. there's no mention in their report about Delaware becoming one of those cities, which kind of confused me as to what our priorities were. Are we just trying to put stuff in, and why aren't we looking to become one of those designated cities, the fourth city in Central Ohio to do that? That kind of caught me off guard as to why that wouldn't be in there. And really, you guys may or may not be aware of that. But it just seems like that should be our priority of the city. If we're going to be installing all of the stuff, then we should be looking at creating that designation. Maybe I missed it.
I can speak to that. I don't know if I'm officially.
Yeah, you were appointed by the city manager to be a part of this, so yes. Just give us your name.
I'm Dan Nagley and Breakaway Cycling, the bicycle store. And a couple of years ago, as a Trek dealer, Trek partners with the League of American Bicyclists, and we, as a store, for every helmet we sell, we give $1, and Trek gives $1, so it's a double down thing, and Trek has given millions of dollars to them. So as part of that, their bicycle-friendly coordinator for the country came here and did a site visit about 2 years ago, and Tom Homan was involved in that, along with several city council people, the police department's bike patrol people, city engineers, and we did a survey of all the existing bike networks and various bike lanes and things. Mayor Riggle was here, and she got in on the last part of it, and I think her observation was probably what most people's observation is that putting bike trails in makes you a bicycle-friendly community. But those standards that are set up by the League of American Bicyclists are much, much broader than that, and that requires bike lanes on main roads or major roads, so that, say, a cyclist wants to get from here to Kroger on the west side of town, they shouldn't have to go up to Pennsylvania, get on the little bike share, come back down and find another bike path to get there. They should be able to take the most immediate way. And so Delaware isn't quite there yet, and that's why they've talked about in this plan on-street options and lanes and protected spaces in addition to just bike lanes. So Trek is now partnered with People for Bikes, has a new program called Places for Bikes, and I don't think its criteria is going to be as stringent, and it will also, it's less red tape involved, and I think they'll be able to get places established and recognized as bicycle-friendly places quicker. We still have contact and have all the criteria to try to attain that bicycle-friendly community status, and that was something I had hoped that we would achieve, but there's a lot to that, and I don't know if it's realistic that Delaware can put in the effort to get to that anywhere in the near future. But in regard to the plan, I would just encourage the rest of the board to remember that, as one of the public community members mentioned last month, that as an avid cyclist, he didn't feel he should be relegated to a bike path just because there now exists a path along Troy Road to get up to Smith Park. But if he's going for a ride all the way to Waldo, he shouldn't have to jump on that path for that little quarter mile or whatever. He should be able to be on the road. And there's a lot of education to that people assume that because there's a bike path, all cyclists should have to ride on that. And to some enthusiast cyclists, that's like telling them you have to ride on a sidewalk or something. They can't go as fast and as easily as they would like. So any other things I can offer as a bike expert, I'd be happy to answer. I talked with a consultant on this quite a bit afterwards too, just to get more information. So I have a pretty good idea on what they're up to.
I appreciate the update on the whole designation part of it. I guess I'm just disappointed that it's not mentioned in there. If that's, kind of what the ultimate goal is, I would think that would be at least mentioned in the report of what needs to be done to reach that designation. If there is the secondary designation that you were talking about, that may be a little bit more broad and not as city specific, then maybe that's something that we take a look at. But I kind of feel like if we're going to invest all this stuff, then it should kind of culminate to something, whether that culmination is being designated as a bicycle-friendly community or if it's some other kind of overall goal that we're looking to achieve, other than just kind of putting in bike-friendly stuff. If it's, I don't know, does that make sense? You know, I kind of feel like it should lead to something. Instead of just kind of throwing some stuff in here or throwing some stuff in there, if we have a common purpose or goal to obtain.
And I'm not clear on the consultant they hired, how they were directed, whether they were told that Delaware wants to become a bicycle-friendly community, how do we achieve this? And that's how, or if the city just hired a consultant to try to make the city a more bicycle-friendly,
Sure.
more bikeable community, and if they had good direction in this survey. And I don't know if you
I don't actually know that.
know that, if this is all prior to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I know this guy is really one of the top bike plan people in the country, and he knows his stuff, but I don't know if we gave him the right direction as a city to create what we ultimately want to get out of it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments about the bike plan? I guess, Ted, what's the next steps with the bike plan then? What do we need to do?
If there's no other comments, what I'll do is I'll kind of summarize it, or not really summarize, but put all these comments in there and maybe send out an update to the board on what would some of the updates be in that bike plan, because at some point we want to recommend this to city council so that it can get adopted.
And I think to the point too, is that I think it would be good to get some more background information, because I know this keeps coming up like every few months, but I don't think we have a clear direction on who is driving it or what the main objectives were of kind of how we got to where we are now. So if we can have some more of that background information as well, just like what he was talking about, where how it all started. I don't know. I think that would be helpful for myself. I don't know if that's helpful for everyone else, but it kind of feels like we just keep looking at this plan over and over again, and we don't really have any clear direction on what the city's objective was for how we even got to this point. Before we recommend it to council, I think it would help all of us to just kind of have a better idea of what the overall plan is for this in terms of the objective for the city and what our real goal is. And then, of course, to what he was, Josh was talking about in terms of the priorities of the actual plan and what we can start looking at.
Okay.
And maybe where would the money come from, you know?
Mm-hmm.
How would that come about to get that money to get anything started?
Yeah, and what is a realistic number to look at there too? Okay.
Any other comments? Okay, we will move on to the update of the park activities.
Nothing new in the monthly report there. We're kind of winding down, except the tree lights have started going up. They'll be lit this Friday. The Christmas tree went up today, and working with Main Street to get that decorated, which will officially be lit on first Friday of December. Worked with McCoy Landscaping. They're going to be donating their services to decorate the tree with the materials that the city already has. And the other thing I'll add in that is we are doing the lights a little bit differently this year. We're calling it a tracing method instead of a draping method. The draping method was where they just kind of hung around the outside of the tree and the top. And so at the and talking with Main Street and some local decorators, I guess, that have done this, they suggest the tracing method to have more of an impact. It takes a few more lights on the certain trees, but we trace the trunk and then some of the branches that come out, and it has more of an impact. So I'd like to know what you think when you see that on Friday. Unless there's any other questions there. You know what, I will also add just in park activities also. We are, if you're aware, we had money allocated for the Glen Ross Park on the south side. We held off on that 'cause we applied for a grant with NatureWorks to extend some of that money. So we were awarded that grant this last month conditionally. And once it goes to the ODNR board, we'll get that money. It was about $47,000. So that allows us to take that $67,000 that was allocated for that park and, stretch that money even more there. So also an update on Oak Grove Cemetery. We don't really talk about that too much in this board, but we have the city took that over probably 3 years ago, I think, or something like that. So in the meantime, we're working with the finance department to kind of get a long-range plan for that cemetery. And one of the first steps we'd like to take is forming a subcommittee. Well, it wouldn't be really a subcommittee, it'd be a Oak Grove advisory board that will probably meet quarterly, but we're getting ready to propose legislation that I'll get to this park board when we get a rough draft of that, but get a Parks Advisory Board in place so that we can start a master plan for that cemetery and start going through some of the steps, some of the things they're ready for expansion out there. This advisory committee will be crucial in getting some of those improvements done out there. Another item I'll bring up too, I think it was last week. Well, you guys are familiar that the pickleball courts at Blue Limestone were put in place of the basketball courts. The basketball courts are being missed by some of the community in a central location. So we went to we had a meeting at the SWCI last week to listen to a request to get more basketball courts in downtown area. And the Blue Limestone Park is a central area that is I think everybody in that meeting kind of a good location to get some basketball courts. So we're investigating how they would fit down there, how many we would get down there. But another option that I'd like to investigate a little bit more too is placing some outdoor courts with at Willis possibly, as Willis will be moved this year. Taking those courts and maybe turning those into to meet the needs of the basketball in the community. So I'll take a look at that also. So hopefully next meeting I want to talk with the schools and with SWCI a little bit more and have a proposal by next meeting in January.
You're talking about the playground beside
Yeah, the playground by the school with the to me those look like city courts, and I mean it's like
Not the property they have down further on.
No, not the Boardman Park, because that was another topic. Those aren't really able to be used as much anymore, so they wanted to have a facility where kids could go play basketball in the central downtown area. So just looking at Willis, that might be an option too, because it could be connected to downtown maybe, and they want to host tournaments, outdoor tournaments, and have a place for the youth to go. And they looked at possibly 4 courts. So that's kind of a lot of courts. We'll start at some options here anyway and present that to the board. That's all I have for park activities here. Yes, sir.
The Glen Ross Park, do you know what additions will be put in there?
Yes, we proposed landscaping, mounds, and then continuing that loop trail around the park. That'll be the next phase. We're calling it phase 2.
Okay.
Yes. And that will probably start in the spring because we will not be awarded the grant money officially probably till January or February.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions about parks? Okay, then we'll move on to the Hidden Valley Working Group.
Okay, so this has been, I think the direction we're looking at moving in this is creating a Parks Advisory Subcommittee that will meet, we'll advertise the meetings, and then we also will take notes. We won't have them at this place. We'll probably likely have them at the golf course, but we've got a really good group of citizens that are interested in helping out with this, and I know some of the board members here. So we've got a lot of items we'd like to tackle also. So we're looking at moving forward with this, and it'll basically be a subcommittee group that will, once we decide when our meetings are, we'll advertise 24 hours so that it's open to the public and anyone can attend. But and also this subcommittee will have, it won't meet for years. I mean, we'll have a sunset on this so that at some point when, there's not any issues left, we'll, maybe take a hiatus or, disband at that time. But I don't want it to be that we're going to meet for every month for the next 5 years or anything like that, and be a committee that's going to be in place for ever, basically. And I know Councilman Rohr has been consulted a little bit about this to try to keep you up to speed on what was going on with this, and if there's anything I missed on that.
No, just we were considering the legalities of it. It definitely needs to be subject to the open meetings laws. We got to advertise it.
Yeah.
Have a minutes kept.
And Linda will be at the meetings too, so she'll be able to help keep minutes at those meetings. So.
Chosen everyone that's on it? I mean, are we?
Yeah,
there?
all the applicants that sent in applications, we didn't eliminate any applicants.
Okay, everyone's on. Okay.
Yep. So at this point, we'd probably need a motion from the board to form the working group subcommittee. I would assume.
Do we have a beginning date and an ending date?
We don't have an ending date.
Schedule of the meetings?
We were going to have a schedule. We could kind of see what the board or this subcommittee group preferred. So our first meeting might be the 28th of this month or 29th.
29th.
I think 29th. We're going to propose that and see if that works for everybody's schedules. It's getting hard to schedule things at this point in the year, but we were going to try to get a meeting in before, so at least we could inform the committee.
And who's representing it from this board? Is it Josh and?
Yep.
Okay.
If they're still interested.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
29th works for me.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay? Okay. So that'll be our first meeting. The 29th at the golf course, Hidden Valley Golf Course.
Probably do 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Now, will we set the following meeting at that meeting? Or is it going to be?
Yeah, and if we can get on a regular schedule, maybe at that meeting, we'll figure that out. And that way we can at least advertise it and make sure that if we're on a regular schedule, I think it'll be easier for the advertisement.
At least that'll be kind of like an organizational meeting and find out what night works best for everybody and go from there.
So do we need a motion for it?
Is it just a motion to approve this group, or what's
There's a
the?
motion to establish the group.
Mm-hmm.
Set the first meeting date, I think probably would be wise.
I move to establish the group with the 29th as the first group meeting.
Second.
Okay, could you call roll, please?
Mr. Bricker,
Yes.
Mr. Brookover,
Yes.
Ms. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Dalton,
Yes.
Ms. Lamar,
Yes.
Ms. McWinney,
Yes.
Mr. Politis,
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff,
Yes.
Councilman Rohr,
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Hibinger,
Yes.
Chairwoman Lash.
Yes. Any
Thanks.
questions about that meeting or?
What
I
time was the
assume you guys
meeting
will
on
have
29th?
updates
I
of
think
them all?
7 o'clock.
Yeah, I'll get the information out. I
Okay.
can copy everybody on the board this first time, so at least you know when the meeting is.
Okay, then we will move on to staff comments.
Kind of went over them all already.
No more? Okay, member comments? Nothing? Look at this, we got it done in a half hour today.
I'd like to thank Dan for participating in this, and being here, giving us some.
Thank you. Anything else? And can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second.
All right, we are adjourned at 7:30.